Hi there, it's Billie Tarascio from Modern Law, and today I want to talk to you about how to make sense of all the resources there are online if you are representing yourself. Like, where do you start if you're representing yourself? How do you be the best advocate that you can possibly be if you're representing yourself? I have so many resources for people who are representing themselves that it can almost become overwhelming. So this video is about where to start and how to gauge what it is you're doing. Now, before we dive into the details, you have to think about what is your overarching strategy and what are you trying to accomplish. To do that, one of the most important things that you can do is understand what the family court's role is. What are you there to do? What are they there to do? The family court's role is to value your property, determine if it's separate or community property, divide your property, order a parenting plan in place that maximizes time with each parent and keeps your children safe, order some child support, and that's essentially it. Sometimes attorney's fees are an issue, sometimes waste is an issue, sometimes there's another issue involved, but mostly and most of the time, that's what the family court is there to do. So when you are determining your legal strategy, you want to work backwards. Start with, what do I want the court to do? Right? Okay, so whatever it is that you want to have accomplished, start with, what do I want the court to order? Let's say that the most important thing for you is sole legal decision making. It's important to understand that the family court is not there to vindicate you. It's not there to find your ex was a bad spouse, that you were the good one and they were the bad one. Your ex is not on trial. This is not a criminal court. No one is going to be found guilty. If you're looking for vindication, if you're looking for the court to somehow affirm that you are not the liar, they are the liar, you're doing this the wrong way. So start with, what is the outcome you want? Because the court is very focused on leading you to a future. What does your future look like? And how does the divorce play into this future? Okay, so it's not going to look back at what happened, how your kids were raised together, who did what during the marriage, who made the money versus whether or not so-and-so was lazy. It's not going to happen. So the reason I say all these things before we even start talking about resources is that everything in your family court case, especially if you're self-representing or even if you're working with a lawyer, starts with this concept. What do I want the court to do if I'm in court? If I'm representing myself in family law litigation, what do I want the court to do? And then you can break it down by issue. Property-wise, do I want the court to find that this is my separate property? Do I want the court to value this piece of property lower or higher? How do I want the court to determine what this value is? Okay, so each issue, you've got property division, spousal maintenance, legal decision-making, parenting time. So depending on your specific circumstances, that will determine what you need the court to do. So if you are a parent and you are unable to get your kids counseling, you're unable to get your kids tutoring, you're unable to get your kids into the school that you want them to get into, then the most important thing for you is final legal decision-making authority. So yes, it matters if your ex is unreasonable and unwilling to work with you and a bad parent, but you start with the premise of, I need the court to give me final legal decision-making authority. Then you look to the statutes and you work backwards from there. This is a very constricting framework. So typically, but it's also very useful because when you go to take your entire life and figure out how to present it to the judge, by using this framework, you're going to be more successful. You're going to be more successful. You're not going to be hung up on details that don't matter. You're not going to get into a he said, she said. You're going to be able to determine what you can ignore that the other party is saying and what you can't ignore, which can be very, very useful. So design your framework first. Now, once you figure out what you want the court to do, and then you figure out which box does this thing fit into that I want the court to do, Is it property division? Is it spousal maintenance? Is it child support? Is it child custody? Is it parenting time? Is it drug testing? What do I want the court to do? Where does it fit in? Now you know where you need to look and what you need to look for resources to help you represent yourself. The other important thing to understand is when you're representing yourself, there's two massive things you need to understand. Number one is the rules of the game. This is like if you sit down to play chess, you cannot win a chess game if you don't know how a knight moves. You can't just ignore the rules about how a knight moves. Those are the rules of procedure. So in Arizona, you want to look at the family court rules of procedure, and those are the rules of the game. Now, there's a lot of them, but you need to look at them if you're representing yourself. And that's why lawyers get paid a lot of money, is to know all of this. But if you're representing yourself, you have to read the rules of the game. Do not go into a chess match and and not know how a knight moves, because you will not win. Okay. So those rules of procedure, extremely important. Arizona rules of family law procedure. Read them, know them, love them. Then you've got the substantive rules, which is how does the court award child custody? How does the court award child support? What constitutes income for child support purposes? That is the substantive law. Okay. So you will need to do both things right. You'll have to understand how to execute your strategy, which is the procedures, and then you'll need to develop your strategy substantively, which is the rules of the statutes. The statutes are under Title 25. That's the family law statutes in Arizona. And then the rules of procedure we already talked about. You need both. So start at the most high level. What do I want the court to do? Write it out specifically. Write out everything you want the court to do. And then take each thing that you want the court to do and figure out, okay, which bucket does this go into? Is it my property division bucket, my child support bucket, my alimony bucket, my parenting time and legal decision-making bucket? Where does it go? Okay, for everything you want to accomplish. And then you work backwards from there. Okay, now what does the law say about that big bucket? Because that's how the court's going to analyze your case. So if you want to keep the house, you know that that goes under the property division bucket. Then you have to look at, okay, how does the court analyze property division? Well, it's an equitable distribution if it was acquired during the marriage. So the first question on any property is it community or is it separate? Now, Don Colburn and I recently did a podcast episode about this because it's not always super simple, even though it sounds super simple. But generally speaking, if it was acquired during the marriage, it's going to be community property subject to division. So if you want to physically stay there, you need the ability to buy out the other party, either with other property or by refinancing. So one of the things that you want to do right away, if you want to keep the house, and that's very important to you, is talk to a mortgage broker and figure out, do you practically have what you need to refinance to buy this person out? Or are there other things that you can give your spouse in order to buy them out? That's just an example. Now, what are the resources that we have for you? Because none of those resources will be helpful unless you do the framework. So first do the framework and then understand that we have resources for you at Modern Law. First of all, we've got a pro bono day every single month. And the next one coming up is on August 14th from 10 to 2 at our Santan Village Mall, South Gilbert location. So you can pop by and get free legal advice from lawyers. Saturday, August 14th. And every single month we'll have one of those. We also have books for you. We've got, let's see. I don't think I have Decode Your Divorce 1. This is Decode Your Divorce 2, which is all about if you're getting divorced from somebody who has a personality disorder, or they're on the spectrum of personality disorders, or they've got an addiction, mental health, personality disorders, and addiction, then get Decode Your Divorce 2. These are free. We will give them to you. And if you just need a handbook on the more general things, then get Decode Your Divorce 1. It's free. We will either mail it to you or we will email it to you. Take this book. It's like a reference guide. You can go to the issue, go to the chapter, read what you need to know about it. We also have a 10-hour series, 10 hours on YouTube, if you learn better via video, where we've broken down family law into the procedure, the substance, how to negotiate, what to expect in court, how to prepare for court. So go to the section that is most valuable to you. Take advantage of the free resources that there are out there, but first develop your strategy. I hope this is helpful and useful. And if you do have questions or you want some help coming up with this strategy, contact Modern Law, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any more videos.